The bold and the beautiful spoilers for Tuesday, August 19th, indicate that Luna Nozawa will play Bartender and get Will Spencer drunk. Luna will also say to herself that it is Will's fortunate night, therefore she will execute a stunning plan. Because B&B was preempted for news coverage on Monday, August 18th, the program will be moved back. It is now scheduled to air on Tuesday, August 19th, but we have all of the latest information for you. She hopes she can trust Luna to be left alone at Lee Finnegan's house for the evening. Luna will pretend she is only going to watch a movie, but she will search for a disguise and sneak out once Lee has left. Luna will soon pose as an Il Giardino employee, dressed in a uniform, glasses, and wig. Luna will soon be playing Bartender at Will's promotion party, which will include dancing and masks, which then Forrester Dominguez encourages all of the visitors to wear. Another server will warn Luna to get rid of some 180-proof odorless and tasteless liquor. This server believes it should be forbidden because he does not want anyone mistaking it for vodka. Of course, it is exactly what Luna will put in Will's vodka sodas when he wants them. Luna will swiftly get Will drunk, causing him to relax and express his feelings for Electra Forrester. Luna will smile and say to herself that it is Will's fortunate night. It's evident that Luna is preparing for another round of drama, so stay tuned for updates on her next move. Meanwhile, Lee will arrive home to find Luna missing. That will cause Lee to fear, so she will make a frantic call to Sheila Sharp and say that Luna is missing. According to the bold and the beautiful spoilers, Sheila and Lee will face a major issue as a result of Luna's desire to cause trouble. The pub was a tiny, smoky grotto buried away in the corner of a forgotten street, where neon flickered like a dying pulse and the air was heavy with spilled alcohol and broken hopes. Luna worked behind the counter, her hands moving with the ease of someone who has poured 1,000 drinks and heard 1,000 stories. Her dark hair was tied up, with loose strands framing a face that may have been lovely if not so exhausted. She wore a black tank top with sleeves rolled up, revealing lean arms from nights spent lifting kegs and wiping down sticky surfaces. Nobody cared about the name of the tavern, the Rusty Anchor, which flashed weakly above the door. They came for the cheap liquor and the opportunity to forget. Will came in shortly after midnight, his boots scuffing the aged planks. He was a regular but not the kind that caused trouble. He was quiet, his eyes constantly searching for something the bar could not provide. Luna noticed him before he even got to the counter, his shoulders sunk beneath a worn jacket, his hands buried in his pockets. He seems to have carried the globe for far too long and was ready to let go. "Evening, Will," Luna murmured, already reaching for her bourbon. She understood what he wanted, 2 fingers, neat and no hassle. Her voice was low and friendly, making you feel seen but not inviting conversation. "Hey, Luna," he said, settling into a stool. His hair was a tangle, with dark curls cascading over his brow and stubble growing into a beard. He appeared older than his 32 years, as if life had been wearing him down since he was a child. She poured the bourbon and moved the glass across the countertop. "Rough day." He gave a half-smile, one that did not reach his eyes. "Rough life." Luna did not push. She'd heard enough sob tales to know when people wanted to talk and when they just wanted the bottle to speak for them. Will was the latter. He took the glass, sipped, and gazed into the amber liquid, as if it held answers. Tonight was slow in the bar, with only a handful of regulars nursing beers and a guy in the corner muttering into his phone. The jukebox played some old country music that made you feel as if you were already mourning something. Luna leaned against the counter, wiping a glass that didn't need to be wiped, and watched Will from the corner of her eye. He wasn't like the other people who came in here, complaining about their ex-wives, bosses, or the government. Will was quiet, but his silence seemed weighty, as if he was hiding a secret too huge to reveal. "You ever think about luck?" he inquired abruptly, his voice piercing over the hum of the jukebox. Luna raised an eyebrow and set the glass down. "Luck? Sure. I mostly think it's bullshit." He chuckled in a low, bitter tone. "Yes, me too. But tonight, I'm not sure. Feels different." She bent her head and studied him. "Different how?" He shrugged and took another sip. "It feels like something is going to happen. Something huge." Luna has heard it before. Males who had had one too many, convinced that the next drink or hand of cards would change everything. But Will didn't sound intoxicated just yet. He sounded hopeful. It was unusual to hear in a setting like this. Be careful with that, she urged, pouring him another. Hope's a dangerous thing around here. He gazed at her again, his eyes catching the low light. They were green with gold flecks, and Luna felt as if he was looking right through her. Maybe, he said. But it's all I got left. She didn't know what to say in response, so she said nothing. She just continued pouring and wiping down the counter, keeping the night going. Will sipped steadily, not too fast to become sloppy, but enough to soften his tongue. He began chatting, not about anything significant at first, just about the weather, how the city smelled like rain and rust. But then he became quieter, his words slower, and Luna realized he was leading up to something. My dad used to say I was born under a bad star, he continued, swirling the bourbon in his glass. Said it the day I was born, like he knew I'd screw it all up. Luna leaned forward and rested her elbows on the counter. Sounds like your dad was a charmer. Will snorted. Yes, true, Prince. I left when I was 6. Mom wasn't doing any better. She tried, but you know how it goes. Some people are not cut out for it. Luna nodded. She knew. Her mother had been a phantom in her life, coming and going like a gust of wind she couldn't catch. She'd learned early on to fend for herself, to put her reliance in her own abilities rather than others' promises. So Will, what's your story? What's making you think about luck tonight? He paused, his fingers tightening on the glass. I received a call today. An old friend from back home. They said there was a job waiting for me out west. Good money. A fresh start. Luna raised her eyebrows. That is something. You going to take it? He did not respond right away. He simply stared at the bourbon, as if it were a crystal ball. I want to. God, I want to. But every time I think I'm about to leave, something draws me back. I feel cursed or something. Her chuckle was brief and harsh. Cursed? Come on, Will. You are just drunk. He grinned briefly. Maybe. Do you ever feel as if the universe is laughing at you? Like it's setting you up just to bring you down? Luna didn't respond. She did not need to. She'd had enough of it. Every time a bill arrived that she couldn't pay. Every time a guy promised her the world and then abandoned her with nothing but a bar tab. She poured him another, stronger drink. Here, she answered. To your lucky night. He raised the glass, his eyes glinting with something she couldn't identify. To my lucky night. The hours passed and the pub became empty, leaving only Will and the guy in the corner, who was now dozing into his beer. Luna kept bringing drinks and Will kept talking. He told her about the job, which was in construction in Nevada and offered steady employment and decent compensation. He told her about the girlfriend he had lost 2 years before, and how she had left because he couldn't get his act together. He told her about his dumb childhood fantasies of being a pilot, a writer, or something other than a person who hauled containers at a warehouse for minimum income. Luna listened. She had no idea why. She wasn't the sort to become engrossed in someone else's story. But there was something about Will. Perhaps it was the way he spoke, like if he were confessing to a priest rather than a bartender. Perhaps it was the way he stared at her, as if she were more than just the woman who served him drinks. Whatever it was, she let him talk, and she continued pouring. Somewhere along the way, she began to believe in his lucky night as well. You know, he added, his words slurring now. You're unique, Luna. You got it. Most people don't understand it. She smirked while washing off the counter for the 10th time. Get what? That life is a kick in the teeth? He laughed louder this time, and for a moment, he appeared younger, as if the weight had been removed slightly. Yes. That. Also, you're genuine. You don't pretend everything is going to be okay. I like that. She felt a strong, unexpected pain. No one had ever called her real before. Tough, perhaps. Sure, they had a smart mouth. But is it real? That was new. She threw it aside and poured him another. Will, you're intoxicated. That is all. Maybe, he replied, but his gaze was fixed on hers. But I mean it. The night went on and the bourbon kept coming. Will's stories became wilder, his voice louder, and his motions larger. He talked about the job in Nevada as if it were the promised land, and that all he had to do was show up and everything would fall into place. Luna encouraged him, joking that he'd be driving a fancy truck and wearing cowboy boots in no time. She told herself it was simply bar banter, the type of bullshit you say to keep a customer happy, but she secretly wished it were true. For him and her. By 2 a.m. Will's head was lolling against the counter. Luna cut him off by sliding a glass of water his way. "Time to slow down, cowboy," she remarked. "You gotta make it to Nevada in one piece." He smiled, sloppy but genuine. "You're correct. We've got to make it. This is it, Luna. My lucky night." She smiled back, but her gut felt knotted. She'd seen too many lucky nights turn into fights, tears, or worse. She did not want that for Will. She wanted him to get out, make it to Nevada, and be the guy who defied the odds. But she had been playing this game too long to believe in fairy tales. "Come on," she said, throwing a rag over her shoulder. "Let's get you a cab." He objected, mumbling about how well he was and how he could walk, but she wasn't buying it. She called a cab, helped him get to his feet, and escorted him to the door. The night air was cool and crisp with the promise of rain. Will slumped against the wall, his eyes half closed, his breath thick with bourbon. "Thanks, Luna," he murmured softly. "For listening. For everything." She shrugged and shoved her hands into her pockets. "Just doing my job." He shakes his head. "Nah. You are more than that." The cab drove up, its headlights cutting through the darkness. Luna assisted him inside, gave the driver his address, Will had mumbled it before between stories, and watched as the car drove away. She remained there for a moment, the neon sign buzzing above her and the street silent but for the distant hum of the city. She assured herself he would be okay. He'd wake up, possibly with a headache, but he'd collect his belongings and travel to Nevada. He would get a fresh start. However, the tightness in her gut did not go away. Will failed to appear the following night. Luna didn't think much of it. People like him came and went, chasing dreams or fleeing them. She poured drinks, joked with the regulars, and tried not to think about his green eyes or how he referred to her as real. But when he didn't appear the next night, or the one after that, the knot tightened. A week later, she learned it from one of the regulars, a man who worked in the warehouse with Will. There had been an accident. Not a huge one and not the kind that generates headlines. Just a foolish, thoughtless thing. A car running a red light and hitting Will as he crossed the street on his way home from the bar. He hadn't even gotten to the hospital. Luna stood behind the counter, pouring a bourbon she didn't drink, her hands trembling just enough to register. She reflected on his lucky night, the job in Nevada, and the way he looked at her as if she were more than a bartender. She laughed as she pondered about the universe. The bar was packed that night, with the jukebox blasting and the regulars shouting over each other. But Luna felt alone, the weight of Will's absence worse than any secret he'd kept. She poured another drink and placed it on the counter, whispering, "To your lucky night." Nobody heard her. Nobody cared. The rusty anchor continued to hum, the neon flickered, and the world turned as it always did.